For 30 years, Martin lived a quiet, invisible life. He worked at a small print shop in the city, ate lunch alone, walked home alone. His apartment was neat and quiet. Every birthday, he bought himself a slice of chocolate cake and watched old action movies. He didn't have friends or pets or anyone. He never kissed anyone, never held a woman's hand. He had dreams, but they stayed in his head. Until one Thursday afternoon, he was walking through the park when someone said, "Hi." Martin stopped. A woman stood in front of him, smiling. She was beautiful. Long black hair, smooth skin, red lips. She wore a white blouse and black skirt. Her voice was soft, like a song. Her name was Isabel. She asked if he wanted to sit. He couldn't believe it, but he nodded. They sat on a bench under the trees. She asked questions: his name, where he worked, what he liked to eat. No one had ever cared before. Martin talked, smiled, even laughed a little. They met again the next day, and the day after that. Isabel was 26. She liked old movies, cats, soft music. She said Martin had kind eyes. He didn't know how to respond, but she didn't mind his silence. They started texting, going on walks. One night they held hands. Martin hadn't touched anyone in years. He didn't want it to end. Their first real date was at a quiet cafe. Martin wore his cleanest shirt and combed his thinning hair. Isabel wore a blue dress that shimmered when she moved. People stared. She was younger, prettier, full of energy. Martin was tired, balding, too quiet. But she only looked at him. She laughed at his jokes, brushed crumbs off his collar, rested her hand on his arm when he spoke. It didn't feel real. Maybe it wasn't. But Martin didn't care. He wanted to believe it was. Still, he noticed some things. Isabel never ate during meals. She pushed food around with her fork, but never took a bite. She wore long sleeves, even on hot days. Once, he saw something under her fingernail. Dark red, dry. She hid her hands quickly. Martin didn't ask. He didn't want to ruin anything. Maybe it was nothing. Or maybe everyone had their own little secrets. One evening, as they watched the sun go down by the river, Isabel leaned close and whispered, "You should come to my house tomorrow." Martin's heart jumped. He nodded too fast. "Oh, okay." Her lips curled. "Good. I'll pick you up." That night, Martin lay awake in bed. He imagined her house. Maybe candles. Maybe music playing soft in the background. He thought about Isabel's body, not in a dirty way, but in a hopeful way. In his mind, he saw her in lacy underwear, skin smooth and pale under dim lights. Maybe she would take his hand. Maybe she would kiss him and say she was glad she waited for someone like him. He wasn't young. He wasn't strong. But maybe, just maybe, someone had chosen him anyway. The next night, Isabel picked him up in a black car. They drove for a long time. The buildings turned into trees. The roads grew quiet. Streetlights disappeared. When they reached the gate, Martin saw the house. Large, gray, old. It was hidden by tall trees. The iron fence creaked as it opened. They stepped into a garden that smelled like roses and rust. Inside, the house smelled strange. Perfume, dust, and something else, like something raw. Martin rubbed his hands on his pants. Isabel held his arm. "Don't be nervous," she said sweetly. "I'm not," he mumbled. She smiled wider. The living room was cold and dim. Most of the furniture was covered in white sheets, but the walls were full of picture frames. Dozens. Martin stepped closer. They weren't pictures. They were strange. In the first frame was a square of something leathery, tight, wrinkled. It looked like skin. Then he realized it was skin. A face, dried flat, cracked around the edges. No eyes, no lips, just the shape. A nameplate underneath said, "Coral, March 18th. Martin's mouth went dry. The next frame was worse. A young man's face, pressed flat. The mouth was frozen in a stream. "Louis, May 4th. He turned to the wall beside the staircase. More faces. All of them real. All of them labeled. Different names. Different dates. Different first dates. He backed away. His legs shook. "What is this?" he whispered. From behind him came Isabel's voice. "My collection." He turned. She was standing in the hallway, sleeves rolled up. Her arms were covered in scars. Long faded cuts. Thin lines, like someone had stitched and unstitched her over and over. "Why?" Martin asked, frozen. She stepped forward. "I like faces," she said softly. "They show who people really are." Her smile widened. Photos fade, but faces. She ran her fingers across a frame. "Stay perfect." Martin's hands were trembling. He looked around the room. All those names, all those vanished people. And now, it felt like it was his turn. Martin stepped back. He bumped into the edge of the wall, heart pounding. Isabel stood between him and the door, her smile gone, her eyes empty and cold. "You're special, Martin," she said. Martin swallowed. "I should go." She tilted her head. "Already? But we haven't even started." Her voice was soft, almost sweet. Her hand dipped into her pocket. She pulled out something small and shiny. A scalpel. Its edge glimmered under the yellow light. Martin's throat closed. I thought you liked me." "I do," she whispered. "That's why I want to keep you." He turned and ran. Down the hallway, past the smiling frames. Past the eyes, it weren't really eyes anymore. He found a door that led downstairs. A narrow stairway. Cold air rose from below. He didn't think. He just ran down into the dark. The basement was pitch black. His feet hit concrete. He flicked on his foam flashlight. The smell hit him first, like rust, mold, and something bitter. Then he saw them. Men, crawling, dozens of them. They were leashed to the walls with rusted chains. Weak, wounded, crying. Their faces were changed, missing entirely from forehead to chin, peeled like old wallpaper, revealing raw, pink layers. Their mouths quivered, full of broken teeth. Their eyes bulged from sockets surrounded by red. Some whimpered, some begged. One man crawled toward Martin on his elbows, leaving a slick trail behind. His voice cracked like broken glass. "Help me, please." Another man grabbed Martin's ankle. His fingers trembled. His lips were gone. His voice was wet and choking. "She took it. She took my face." Chains rattled. More men turned toward Martin. They crawled in his direction, reaching with shaking arms. No longer whole. No longer themselves. Just memories in bodies that couldn't forget. Martin gagged. He turned to run, but something hit his back hard. He fell. The light scattered. Darkness. Then, her voice. "I keep them like this," Isabel said, from somewhere above. "That's the point. They used to cry for help. Now they cry for mirrors." He scrambled backward. She walked down the steps slowly, heels tapping like a clock counting down. "They can't leave. I've taken the part of them the world looked at. That's all anyone really wants, isn't it?" she said. "A face, a front." Martin sobbed. One man beside him wailed like a child. Isabel crouched beside Martin and whispered, "Yours is going to be my favorite." Then everything went black. When the sun rose, Martin was gone. His apartment was cold, his bed untouched. His name never trended, but one boy noticed, Milo, from the print shop. He remembered Martin smiling for the first time in years. He remembered Martin saying, "There's this girl I'm seeing." Milo asked around, but no one knew a girl named Isabel. Not really. Inside a quiet house, far beyond the city, Isabel hung a new frame on the wall. It was perfect. Delicate skin, smoothed and preserved, stitched lovingly. The label read, "Martin, August 2. The other faces bowed beneath it like silent worshippers. But the leashed ones in the basement, they remembered, and every night they cried. Not because they hurt, but because they couldn't forget what they used to look like. And on the fourth night, Isabel wore a red dress. She curled her hair, put on lipstick, then walked back into town and sat at the park. A new face passed by, shy, smiling. She waved sweetly. "Hi," she said. "I like your face."